The Emu War, in a nutshell, in 4 minutes. So we'll start off by listing all the causes. The first one being the Great Depression, or as I like to call it, the economic emo. After World War I, people in the US started buying a lot of stuff, which made the stock market go up. But after a while, they started selling more stuff, which made the stock market crash. To make matters worse, all the crops in the Great Plains died because of a drought, and then the Great Plains was covered in a huge sandstorm that prevented the crops from growing back. In order to combat this and protect the US citizens, the US government decided to put tariffs on a lot of imports. The economic downturn that the US was suffering from went global. This affected Australia greatly because Australia is heavily reliant on their exports. And in the current economic climate, no one wanted to buy anything because everyone was too poor. Australia has already suffered enough from people not wanting to buy their exports. But after World War I, Australia introduced its own currency that connected to the gold standard through the British pound. But the British then started messing with their own currency, and that led to Australia's currency being unstable and untrustable. Cause number 2, more farmland and inexperienced farmers. So after World War I, many of the retired veterans were given land for farming. Most of this farmland was in the West Coast, which is where the emus go after their mating season. Due to this, the emus started breaking into these patches of farmland and eating all the wheat. The farmers were furious at this because they had already suffered enough due to the economic crisis, and now they were having bad harvests because of the emus. Though the government has already given them permission to shoot the emus, they ran out of ammunition quickly because each emu can take multiple hits from a machine gun. The farmers then turned to George Pierce, the Minister of Defense, for help. Pierce then sent 2 soldiers led by Major G.P.W. Meredith, armed with 2 Lewis light machine guns to take down the emus. Meredith also hired a cinematographer to videotape this and show how successful the Australian military was. On their first attempt, they went up against 50 emus and they used a formation tactic. However, the emus scattered immediately after they started shooting. On the second attempt, they set up an ambush near a water source. However, one of the guns jammed and then the emus managed to scatter. After this entire operation, only 986 emus were killed, but around 10,000 rounds of ammunition were used. Just a few months later, the farmers came up with barrier fencing, a type of fencing that is capable of keeping out the emus and other pests. To be completely and brutally honest, they could have just done this from the very beginning and not waste 10,000 rounds of ammunition. This concludes my presentation about the Emu War. Thank you very much for listening.